Hi everyone. I'm not used to, I don't think I've ever done these kinds of videos before, but I decided to film my egg freezing experience, and I'll tell you one for why I decided to freeze my eggs, and a little bit about what that involves, and then as to why I decided to film it. It basically started with dry January. I mean, not dry January itself, but I'm not drinking, obviously, before the egg freezing cycle begins. It's currently the 6th of February. So I decided that I was going to completely cut alcohol 4 to 6 weeks before the procedure starts. And obviously, it involves a lot of pressure from people asking you, why are you not drinking? Why are you not drinking? And immediately I thought the easiest excuse would be to say dry January. And I realized that I almost felt like shame or like embarrassment telling people that I was freezing my eggs, and instead I was using the excuse of dry January as to why I wasn't drinking. So then I started sort of thinking as to why there's this shame and embarrassment in women to talk about their fertility. And obviously it's really cold in London at the moment, so I am with a hot water bottle. But yeah, there's this sort of shame and embarrassment around talking about fertility or even being open with it. So I figured that I think it's important to be incredibly open, and just for you guys to have a bit of education and sort of what it involves. And yeah, I'm gonna take you day by day into everything that is involved in the process, explaining to you the sort of science behind it for those that don't know, and hopefully you can learn about it. And a lot of my friends, obviously, that know that I'm doing this didn't really have any clue about how it worked. Of course, I didn't have any idea about how it worked. This is actually going to be my second cycle. I already did my first one a year ago, February last year, and I'm only 29, so I did my first cycle when I was 28. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking that's extremely young to go under egg freezing, but I will be explaining as well as what are the benefits of choosing to egg freeze at a young age, and also the reasons why I'm doing it specifically. But what I was saying is that obviously a lot of people, especially women, were never educated when it comes to these kinds of things. No one even considers checking their fertility in the first place. Like for me, if it wasn't for my aunt, who when I turned 28 said to me, okay, you have 2 years till you turn 30, if I were you, I would just get it checked. And honestly, even when I tell people like you should get your fertility checked, they're like, how do I do that? And it's as simple as a blood test. There's even online, you can order them at home. I went to my gynecologist and just ordered the blood test, and it was actually thanks to my aunt that I realized that for a woman my age, I was in the low spectrum in terms of my fertility. So obviously every single woman has their ovarian reserve. So every woman is born with a certain number of eggs. And of course, the older you get, the less amount of eggs you'll have. But yeah, it turns out that my ovarian reserve is lower than the average 28 to 29-year-old woman. And the doctor actually told me like, I mean, you're still fine. I would wait another year. I actually got that test done when I was 27. I would wait another year and see, if there's a drastic change, if it's stable and it hasn't really decreased in a year. I wouldn't really recommend it yet. You're still quite young. So I listened to the doctor, waited a year, did my blood test again. What the blood test that you'd want to have is called the AMH test. That is what measures your fertility. but obviously you can ask your doctor, they'll be able to tell you exactly what you need. And it had dramatically increased from the age of 27 to the age of 28, which is terrifying as a woman, obviously. And, you know, me personally, my dream is to be a mother. Can't wait to have kids. I mean, not right now, hence why I'm freezing them. But like, there's women who don't have that motherly instinct and they don't want to have kids. So obviously this doesn't apply to you. But I know that I definitely would love them. So obviously I was a bit shocked when I saw that even in just a year of just waiting, it had dramatically decreased. So I absolutely didn't even think twice and decided to go ahead and do my first cycle of egg freezing. And I will talk to you about sort of the results that I had from that. This video, I will actually go day by day into the procedure, where I'm at now, what I've had to do leading up to the start of my procedure, and everything sort of that involves freezing your eggs. Yeah, so obviously I will be posting this day by day. If you have any questions, you can put them below and I'll try to answer them in the following video or in the next one. But I know that even my friends had so many questions and it can be a bit confusing at some points. I've had to have doctors repeat 1,000 times what I have to do, because it's very, very specific in terms of timings, and of course, because it has to do with your menstrual cycle. So basically, I'll start with a year ago. So learned that my AMH was low and that I wanted to undergo egg freezing, and I suffer from a lot of anxiety. So in and of itself, specifically health anxiety, it really stressed me out. Like, it was almost like I put a lot of pressure on my body and myself for it to produce the biggest amount of eggs, that I was so in my head about it that I don't think it was sort of good for my mental health, as I was, you know, doing the procedure a year ago. So that I will go into talking about mental health through this process and everything, because it is, I think for me, that's been the biggest thing. Like, luckily I didn't really suffer major side effects from the medication physically, but I think mentally is what the hardest thing for me was. Many women obviously react differently. So yeah, year ago, I think the stress of it all too, I have had, I would say, the biggest phobia of needles, like terrified of needles. And this egg freezing procedure, as you've probably heard, and probably what you know the most, is that it involves injecting yourself every day in the stomach. And I believe, like, injecting yourself with needles goes against human nature, and I just mentally didn't know how I was gonna be able to do it. I literally got a friend to do the first couple of injections because I physically would get really close and then freak out, and I hated it. I actually had to see a therapist to do like a form of therapy to help me combat. Sorry, English is not my first language. My fear of needles, and worked out. I managed to, be able to do it, and now I can say that I'm on the second round way more calm to approach the needles. It doesn't even stress me out. I think 4 to 5 days away from starting my injections, and I'm not stressed. Whereas a year ago, I couldn't sleep just thinking about the fact that I had to inject myself in the stomach. And I know that there's a lot of women who have fear of needles and probably would feel the same way as me. But I can assure you that if anything, this will get rid of your fear and you'll just feel really strong and independent. once you overcome that fear and do it. And I think it's for an incredible, cause, which is future babies. So if it is the chance to fight your fears, it's this one. I know I say a lot, so I apologize. I'm just trying to process everything that I need to say. And then, and I think that stress, the fear of the needles. Also, I was really not prioritizing my health at all the months leading up to the egg freezing process. I was sort of trying to just not really think about it until I had to. And so I was going out a lot, I was drinking a lot, not sleeping well. Sleep is very important. And so I think with those three factors combined, maybe the reason why I didn't collect as many eggs as my doctor would have hoped on the first cycle, and hence why I'm doing a second one. They recommend, and I'll tell you, for someone ages 28, 29, 30, I'm turning 30 in a couple months, it should be that, on average, you should be freezing between 10 to 15 eggs. Not necessarily in one cycle, but in total. But obviously, the more you do it, the more eggs you have, the better. Because I'll explain all the different, some people are like, yeah, but surely you should be fine with freezing one egg. That means one kid, and it doesn't really work like that. I'll explain more down the line. But I only managed to freeze 4 eggs. Wasn't great. So this time around, now I'm not scared of needles, so that stress and that anxiety out the door. 2, I've really, really, really focused on my health in the last couple months, specifically in the last 6 weeks. Not a drop of alcohol. I've been eating the right things, like lots of salmon, fish, veggies. I've been taking supplements, which I can go into detail as well a bit later. But for example, maca root, I'm all about sort of organic supplements, and it's a root from Peru that promotes fertility in women and helps also with your menstrual cycle and that. Really, really, really prioritizing my health, doing exercise, lots of exercise, because as you know, you will be injecting yourself with hormones, and it makes you feel not great. As I will explain all the side effects as well later in detail. So I believe, and I'm positive, that this time around, hopefully I will get more than 4 eggs. My doctor also increased my dose and gave me a different medication this time around. So I am very hopeful that I'll get more. Even if, I get 6 and I already know I have 10 there, then I know I'll just need one more cycle just to make it to 15, and then I can just forget about this and not have to really think about it anymore, which is the goal. Basically, I just want to invite you on this journey of egg freezing. To any women out there who are interested in freezing your eggs, who don't know about anything about freezing your eggs, or women who are undergoing egg freezing, I'm here to sort of guide you through it, explain it all, and give you first-hand experience into the world of women's fertility, which is really not spoken about. And I just want to leave you with one last thing, is that the reason I'm freezing my eggs, as I explained, is because I had a low AMH for someone my age, so it was recommended by my fertility doctor. But even if you don't have a low AMH, and let's say you're 30 or you're 29 and you're not ready to have kids, I highly recommend freezing your eggs, even if you might be super fertile. If I had known about this, if I had even just thought about it with people around me talking about it more, I would have probably made the decision to freeze my eggs a lot younger, because the younger you are, the healthier your eggs are, which means the healthier chance of having the bigger chance of having a healthier baby you'll get. So of course, the younger you are, the better quality your eggs are. So it would make sense to freeze them when they are at its best quality. So even if you're someone who, doesn't struggle with fertility problems like me, but just wants sort of a, plan B in the future when they're much older, if they want to have a kid, you can use their eggs of when you were really, really young, which will be of top quality. As I mentioned before, for me, even in a year, like my eggs went down, my AMH went down really, really low. So, it really depends. It's such a personal thing. Every woman is different and the reasons behind it are different. As I mentioned, I have low AMH. Also, I'm nowhere prepared or ready to have any kids anytime soon. The doctor even said to me, sure, I have low fertility, but still doesn't mean that I can't conceive naturally. So if, in a hypothetical situation, I were to try and conceive right now, naturally, in around 6 months, statistically, he has this like calculator in his office, I would be 100% pregnant, trying every single month, So this doesn't mean that I can't conceive naturally and then I'll have to eventually do IVF with my frozen eggs. I will probably most likely try to conceive naturally first when I'm ready. And then eventually, if there's, if I'm struggling due to my low MH and, in 4 years when I tried to start having kids, that's already like 4 or 5 years later, my MH will be even lower, which means it will be even harder. So I could just, bank on my frozen eggs. So yeah, there's many reasons as why to do it. And I'm just here to sort of explain all these different aspects of it that no one really shares. And I think it's important to put out there and sort of demystify this whole concept of fertility and how shameful women feel about it. And instead they should be open and talk about it. Now I obviously don't say that I'm doing dry January anymore because I'm lying for one. And then two, I'm just saying I'm freezing my eggs. And it actually starts really interesting conversations with the people around me, including men who have no clue about the process. And I genuinely think that it should be spoken about more. Hence why I'm doing this video. Never recorded myself doing anything. So bear with me. This is my first time. And I hope that you can get something from it. So I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Well, I'll explain in detail what the process is from day one to the moment of surgery when they collect your eggs. I'll be telling you what medication I'm on, the dosage that I'm on, what it involves every single day, how I'll be feeling, just everything basically. So this is more of an introductory video as to what I will be talking about, but I'll see you in the next video in more detail, more sciencey as well in terms of like what the medications do, the side effects, how many days usually this whole process takes, what you'll be feeling emotionally, as you know, hormones. So lots of details, and so let me know also if you see this. It might be that no one sees this video and whatever, but if you do and if you have questions or you specifically want me to talk about something the next couple of days before I start the injections, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. And that's all. Bye.